Okay, good morning. Welcome to
FamilyMath175a.
Ooh, gosh. Almost jumped on my coffee. So this week, Evelyn Lamb, our friend, shared a really cool website, or piece of Cut the Knots website that had a whole bunch of different proofs that the square root of 2 is irrational. And we're going to look at 4 of them today, just for fun. Some of this might be a little bit over your head, but that's okay. I will explain these hopefully in a way you can understand. Some of them are going to involve number theory that you're learning about. Some of them are going to involve geometry that you're learning about. And it's fun to see a problem from a bunch of different ways. So, and what we're going to show is that the square root of 2 is irrational. Now, the first thing, before we even get started on this, what is the square root of 2? Can you tell me what you know about the square root of 2?
Well, the square root of 2, it's a square root.
It's a square root, okay. Do you know much about it?
No, not really.
No, not really, okay. Do you know much about the square root of 2?
Not really.
Okay, what's
Well,
one thing?
If you square it, it equals 2.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. The square root of 2 is just some number, so that when I take it times itself, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 equals
2.
2. There we go. And that's all it is. And does anyone know about what its value is?
It's about 1.414.
About 1.414, because 14 squared, do you know?
I think it's 196.
Right, 196. So 1.4 squared is about 1.96. So the square root of 2 is very close to 1.4. Okay? What does irrational mean?
Well, you can't divide it by an integer.
You can't make it a ratio of a to b,
Okay,
where a and b are integers.
right.
Most terms.
A rational number is a number of the form a over b, where a and b are integers. That's a rational number. An irrational number is a number that can't be written like this.
Yeah, I think a and b are in lowest terms.
Yeah, you can have a and b in lowest terms, but a rational number, 3 halves. This also is 6/4. So in order for it to be a ratio, it doesn't have to be in lowest terms.
Yeah.
But we're going to use the idea of lowest terms actually in our first proof. Actually in a couple different proofs. Okay, so first thing, this is what I'll call the standard proof. We assume the square root of 2 equals a over b, a fraction, a ratio of 2 integers, and they are in lowest terms. Okay? What does this mean?
Well, this means the square root of 2 is rational.
This would mean the square root of 2 is rational. We're going to assume
Well,
that's
If
true.
we square everything, we get 2 equals a squared
A squared.
over b squared.
Okay? A squared over b squared, where again, a and b are in lowest terms. They have no common factors. All right?
Yeah.
Okay? So what does this tell us?
Well, this tells us, I don't think it tells us right away that, I think some part of this proof was I find out that something is odd.
Yeah.
But I don't,
Well, you could take a 2 on both sides. You could subtract a 2 from both sides or divide by 2.
You could divide by 2 or subtract a 2, but that doesn't really simplify this as much as it would like. We would like to simplify this expression. What's making this expression complicated?
The fraction.
Okay?
So multiply by b squared.
We multiply both sides by b squared. And we get 2b squared
equals a squared.
a squared, where again, a and b are in lowest terms. Okay?
So this means that a squared is even.
That means a squared is even. And what does that mean?
That means b squared should be odd.
Well,
But it should be.
not necessarily. What does it mean? When I look at an odd number squared, like 1 or 3 or 5, what do I get when I square those?
well, you get an odd number.
Right. Odd numbers squared are odd, but this is even. So
That means
a has to be even. So a equals 2m, I'll call it. Okay?
Yep.
So 2b squared equals 2m
So that means b squared is m. Wait, why is it squared?
Well, a squared.
Yeah.
Remember, 2 times b squared
Oh yeah.
equals 2m whole thing squared. Right? That's step 4. Step 5 is to multiply this out and get 2b squared equals what?
4m squared.
4m squared. What can I do here?
Well, I think this means that b is even.
How come?
Well, because now if you can divide by 2.
I can divide by 2. Very good. B squared is 2m squared. That means b is even.
But a is also even.
But a was also even.
So
What's,
So you can
aren't in-
simplify it.
These aren't in lowest terms.
so a and b aren't in lowest terms.
So that means square root of 2 is irrational.
So our assumption that it was rational must be what?
Wrong.
Wrong.
Wrong. Cool, right?
Yeah.
That's really neat. That's the standard proof. You guys have seen that one before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this proof make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to go to 3 more proofs, okay, that are in some ways the same as this, and in some ways different.
Yep.
And they're real fun. Okay, let's go.